Bought this harmonic balancer puller, brand new at O'Reilly's, and literally as soon as the tension got tight, it just snapped in two. So, garbage. So, this 30Y just continues to give us fits. We just went to AutoZone and rented their harmonic balancer remover since the one that we bought at O'Reilly snapped in half, because I figured their rental tool would be better than the cheap off the shelf you could buy. Well, whoever the jerk was that rented it last ruined all three of the bolts that you need to pull a small block Chevrolet dampener off with. All three of them, the ends of them are just goobered plumb up. So I just had to call the store and let them know that whoever used it last ruined the bolts that were in it, because the other bolts don't look like they've ever been touched. So luckily O'Reilly's gave us a replacement, so we're going to use the bolts out of this cheap POS and see if between these two kits, or 3 total now, we can get 1 harmonic dampener off. There you go, that's how it's supposed to go. See it coming away from the block.
Yep.
So we have decided that the 30Y here needs quite a bit of attention. It's going to be time consuming. Tear down, clean up, do the rebuild, which I've got the kit for. But I actually just purchased another engine. It's a 350. It will be about 11.7 to 1 compression when we get it all together. And we're going to go ahead and put that together and put it in a T-bucket. The 305 is going to kind of go on the back burner for a little bit. Maybe in a week or two we'll drag it out and do all the cleanup and the rebuild, and it'll go on something eventually. But we've decided, for time constraints, to try and have this T-bucket running this weekend. We're going to pass on this for the moment because everything we've done with it has fought us. I'm probably just from the amount of time it's been setting, and if I'm going to put that much time and effort into it, it's going to be as nice as it can be for a 305. If I've got to tear it completely down, I'm going to make sure it's going to be a reliable 305. It may not make any power, but I've already spent more on the kit to refresh it than I gave for the motor initially, so it is what it is. I'm going to move forward with another project. Now we're going to have something that'll probably make at least 100 more horsepower, if not more. So we're going to go that route. We're taking it off the engine stand now. I'm going to put the other one up here, and hopefully we'll have an update shortly. Take a look inside the holes, and then we'll explain what the problem is. Look at this hole up here. Look up that way, that direction. And then look at this one. If you see the holes, and then you see these bolts, there's a difference between them. This one is for an automatic flex plate, which is shorter.
The one he dropped.
This is for the standard shift flywheel that was on the motor. Can you see the difference in length? The problem is apparently they only had 5 of the longer bolts that it needed, so they just thought they'd shove a flex plate bolt back in it, which wasn't long enough, and it's goobered the threads up on the crank on one hole, and then I guess they cross-threaded one of the other 5 and goobered the threads up on another hole. So we have 4 good holes to bolt a flex plate to. So we're gonna have to get a tap and die set, and hopefully we can clean it up and save this crank. Otherwise, the T-bucket bucket list project, the drama continues. So what we're doing is cleaning up the threads on the holes. This one is complete garbage. This one's clean, this one's clean, this one's clean, this one's clean. This was the next to worst, and I think I pretty well worked through it. But what you want to do is, when you're cleaning holes with a thread cleaner, or thread chaser, as they're called, I believe, you run it in until it gets kind of snug, then back it up a half a turn or a turn, then go back forward a little, then back in and back out. And these little grooves in the cleaner here lets the debris that's in the threads fall out. So you work your way through and clean the threads up. Now this hole down here, the whole beginning of the hole, is like the threads are just gone. So I'm hoping maybe take a drill and clean this end up and get the worst of it out, and then the whole back side of the hole where it's still threaded, we can clean up and put a bolt back in it. But key to this is, don't just throw more lube at it and keep cramming on it. Work it in and out just a little bit. Gotta be easy on her, fellas. Cross your fingers. Toes, your hair, eyeballs, whatever.
Butt cheeks.
Squirty squirt in there. And that's clean.
Going in like brand new, right?
Going in clean. Still, so.
That wind's cold.
Alright, moment of truth. The worst hole in the crank that had to be fixed.
Look at there.
Look at that. Now total, between going to get the tap and die set to fix these holes that we couldn't get in the middle of the night last night, and then drilling the holes and threading the hole repairs, we probably have about an hour in fixing this. Whereas if we would have bought a new crankshaft, it would have been 150 bucks plus shipping. And so an hour of time and $32 for a tap and die set. We cleaned the holes up, saved the crankshaft. Now we take the oil pan off and find out the bearings are junk in it, and we wasted $32 in an hour of our life. But that's later on in the argument. Bigger size. So next engine, we're gonna pull the dampener off of it also and complete the teardown. We got the crank threads fixed as you saw and put a flywheel on it. mounted it on the engine stand, so hopefully pull this off, pull this pan off, change the timing chain, put the cam and stuff in it, get it all cleaned up, and hopefully put back together today. That's our goal. My goal anyway. May not be accurate, but it's my goal.
Alright, this one held up.
It's two it's successfully pulled. Let's see what we got. Ooh, 4-bolt. Did not expect that. Did not expect that. Being a Mexican block, but okay, I'll take it. Good enough. So what I found, if you just back the nuts off a little bit like this, you can actually tap on the nuts with something soft. That'll help separate the rod cap from the rod, and you can pull the engine out, or pull the rod out. That one. Good and clean. See all this, how smooth it is. All good signs. We have a decent shot here. So you want to see about catching this rod here. I'll push it on down. Ready?
Yep.
Is it sticking out?
Yeah. A little bit. Voila.
It's normal to have some slop in a timing chain, but I kind of glad I went ahead and bought one to put on it because I feel like that's a bit excessive.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's probably almost slapping the timing chain cover. You have to be careful when removing or installing a camshaft not to damage the bearings. They do make a cam tool. It comes out here and you can hold it like a handle, or you can get longer bolts that screw into the cam. For me, I've just found using the timing gear and gives me a good enough grip on it that I can ease it out without having a lot of difficulty out of it. And I say that. Well, I think another problem. I didn't pull the fuel pump rod out. So the only reason I was able to figure out how quickly when I was having trouble getting the cam to slide out was the fuel pump rod is because I've been through this once before, and I fought for a couple hours once and couldn't get it out. And never dawned on me that when I turned the motor upside down, the pump rod slid back to the fuel pump and basically blocked it from sliding out. But when you take a magnet, pull this rod out, that's all there is to it.
Go.
Voila, a camshaft is born. Say hello to my little friend. So, very important when you're using a pressure washer, always remember to hook your hoses up, turn the hose on, then bleed the air out of it before you actually turn the pressure washer on. You'll burn the pump up if you don't. So, I've let the water run for like a minute, got all the air out. Hopefully we should be good to go now. We're coming up on the 15-minute mark that the degreaser said to give it before you pressure wash it off. So this is round 1 of a degreaser bath. We're going to pressure wash it, then might have to coat it another time or two. So what we've accomplished is we degreased, pressure washed a couple of rounds, cleaned everything up, and found that there is a freeze plug that we blowed a hole in with the pressure washer. So it's a good thing it happened now instead of in the car. This is the one that's behind the starter. So we can get our in order to set, go ahead and put them all in new, get rid of that issue. But we're gonna let it drip dry for a few more minutes, then clean everything off, dry it off, and soak everything with a coat of oil. And that'll probably be as far as we get today. It is Sunday, we gotta go back to work tomorrow, so just leave it at this stage and work on it when I get time. So after we got done pressure washing, kind of got to looking at these head bolt holes, and the threads were all like rusty, corroded. So we're just gonna clean them up to make sure we don't have any issues with the head bolts either snapping off or not torquing properly because the threads aren't clean. So just add something else to the list. Be a lot nicer when we're done, hopefully.